still bot lanes, like we mentioned. The Yunara and the Corki still available. AL gonna have first choice, and they go for the Lucian instead for Hope.
There we go. You were talking about this. You're like, Lucian for Hope? Maybe? You may be kind of pushing for Elk, but if we're going to take that, why not? And a lot of jungle focus. I mean, Pantheon's permaban throughout the series. Vi is also going to take alongside that position, and Xin Zhao. So kind of going to be looking at some different junglers here, and I think that's where this game can get a lot trickier to play, because Jiejie pulled out like Warwick and Olaf in playoffs last split, and Tarzan definitely has kind of like a deeper champion pool where he's able to pull out things like Silas or
Shen.
even his Trundle. Yeah, and even Shen.
Yunara Lulu, though, for Elk and Hong, they haven't done well on it this year. I think Elk is now 3-8 on the pick, but they did win the last game around when they played against Team WE with that selection. So strong team fighting ADC will be responded by the Milio, stock standard here at this point, with the Nami really belonging to Corki at this point in the meta. And a Twisted Fate here for Shanks. That's typically something that Xiaohu has been playing.
I like this. What's the response going to be from Xiaohu? Are we going to play a mage that's going to try to match? It could be Galio, or we could play something that's going to try to blow up Twisted Fate in lane, and that could be something like LeBlanc here. Could be any kind of one of these answers. Could also go for the Ahri. It's going to be a little bit tricky. Obviously, Milio later in the game is going to provide a lot of value right now, but in terms of a 5-on-5, I really like what Weibo is showing, and that is going to be the LeBlanc here. So when a Twisted Fate is in the game, Grapes, I always am thinking we need volatile side lanes, whether that is this Lucian Milio and trying to kind of scrap early with the 2v2, or going for some kind of matchup where you're probably playing like Renekton into Gnar or something like that in that nature.
And this LeBlanc's been great so far this season for Xiaohu as well. 3-0 on the pick this year, and just throughout his career, a very powerful champion that he likes to operate. I think it's a 47-29 record, as I just looked it up.
Nice.
And he's going to have a great time in the mid lane, getting priority against Shanks, who obviously wants to use his semi-global ultimate to affect these side lanes. We're heading to the second phase of bans right now. Weibo trying to avoid any more point-and-click CC by banning away the Maokai. The top side will be the focus on the other side against Zika.
So getting rid of Jace, personally, if I'm AL, I'm saying, yes, I actually want Jace. Like, we might lose the 5-on-5 if we're just standing around an objective, but you can just cut out Jace's objective wins by attacking him on a side lane, where if he doesn't have flash. I like Maokai. Maokai is way too OP versus Weibo right now. I think other champions we need to be thinking about is Jax. See the Vayne ban there? They don't know if Flandre is going to be able to pull it out in one of these matchups. I do think Gnar and Jax are kind of the two champions that I'm looking at as having the highest priority so far for both teams.
Yeah, especially for AL. You have the Twisted Fate. The 1-3-1 always comes into play, and with somebody like Flandre who is able to play a lot of different things, certainly on the top of their minds. AL will ban away the Gnar, as you mentioned. A little bit of team fighting power taken away from Zika. And we'll see what Elk wants to pick up here for his team. We're looking for jungle and top lane at this point. A lot of those meta junglers have been banned away, so Weibo is going to say, all right, we'll blind pick a Renekton potentially here. Leave counter pick for Jiejie on R5, or B5, I guess, now that we're in this swapped up meta. We'll see what exactly he has up his sleeve.
One of the few Hope fans still in the audience here. Sorry, I'm sorry, Hope. I don't want to take a cheap shot at you like that.
He's gonna go. He's gonna pop off because he said that. He's gonna go like 10.
I hope so, because the last Lucian game was against BLG, and he was winning that game until he stepped too far in the inhibitor line and died instantly. So I hope it goes a lot better for him. There's the Nefiri coming on through. I always have to be afraid of this as a potential flex of the last time we saw Nefiri top coming in from Flandre, but instead looks like it is going to be the Rek'Sai. I think has incredible value this game. Rek'Sai not only in the 1v1 versus Renekton, but later on in the game is going to be really, really dangerous to deal with. Going into Yunara, going into LeBlanc on side lanes, especially because you have a Twisted Fate. They can go for really long chases with a Nefiri on top of this. So for AL, the 5-on-5 is going to be a little bit tricky. They're going to be playing a lot around Flandre and Shanks, trying to get interesting different flanks on, just repositioning or going around objectives, and having to basically play standoffs with Nefiri and Lucian.
There is the Lee Sin for Jiejie to respond. Going to be able to outduel the Nefiri decently well in the early game, and of course has a ton of utility once you progress further in this game. We'll say that the Weibo composition, if you don't win in the first 20 minutes, is a lot on Elk's shoulders, and AL are going to have a much better time playing around the map. But overall, I think both teams got a good chunk of what they wanted going into this Game 3.
Right. So, looking at it from Weibo's perspective, you have a hard-winning lane matchup for the LeBlanc. It is not as cut and dry as LeBlanc just goes in and kind of kills this guy. Once he has Rod of Ages, it becomes a lot more difficult. Once Twisted Fate gets Merc Treads and the upgraded Crushers, then it obviously becomes really difficult to kill this guy. So it is going to be tricky, but I think a strong 2v2 here for Xiaohu and Jiejie, and one that's going to be rather explosive, gives them options to play. 5-on-5 is going to be a little bit different. I think Melio can have a big impact in this game if he lands the right Fire Kick and the right Breath of Life ultimate.
A lot on the shoulders here of the bot lane once again for AL. They've been a little bit shaky, as we saw in game number 2, but Hope and Kael, specifically Kael, when he's on his mark, looked like one of the better duos in this league and maybe even in the world. We've seen the highs for AL. Can they return to that here as game number 3 of our final series of the day gets underway?
No Gyos, of course.
Guys, the minions are about to come in. What are you doing?
Wow.
No, I will say, AL, not a team that has been super popular until they rose to prominence like 1.5, 2 years ago. It seems like they brought a lot of fans here to this one.
I'm surprised because Weibo has a really deep pocketbook, as we have seen throughout the years, and they have some of the pretty popular players in the league. So to see them get outbeat by AL, pretty impressive. And this 2v2, I think, very much going in favor of the bottom lane for the Pandas, as already some heals and some barriers being done, as we've seen time and time again, but very good for Hope and Kael.
Yeah, this is the bot lane greeting. You just burn 4 summoner spells to say hello, level 1. Make sure you're in a good position to hit that level 2 first, which Hope and Kael will be able to do. As we do see Jiejie starting off with a 3 camp and now looking towards the bottom lane. Would be a difficult angle to go in unless he dashes forward. He pops the PTA onto Hong, but all of a sudden doesn't have much of an escape tool without that barrier up as well. Here comes Jiejie. He's level 3, so he's sacrificing a lot for this, but they're going to go for the play immediately. Onto the Lucian. He's chunked out very low. The Bolo's going to slow Hope down, and the flash forward will secure the kill. It's Elk to get first blood for Weibo.
And Neferi is not going to have time to get to this play. I mean, they're going to actually stay in the 2v2. The ward on the Phaelite ran out. Does Tarzan get spotted? He's going to try to chase. No flash for either Elk and Hung.
And Tarzan knows that. He's going to take full advantage here as Jiejie just channels that back to the fullest and says, good luck, you guys. The red buff is ticking on Hung, but he'll be able to live to tell the tale of how Tarzan jumped down there and killed his AD carry.
17 HP. Such a close change. If he gets both of those kills, I think AL are in a really good spot here for game number 3. I mean, 2 kills on Tarzan. He gets to recall or take all of his bottom side cans, plus this Scuttle. That could mean that he's very close to whatever first item he wants, whether that is a Black Cleaver, whether that is Hubris, as we have seen before, or maybe even just trying to cut some of the shields that are here and goes for Serpent's Fang very early on.
Very
a lot
high
of flexibility
value
in his draft.
This game, yeah. So Weibo gets the first kill, and they get it onto Elk, but now Tarzan on the Neferi, one of those champions that you get snowballed, just becomes unplayable the rest of the way. And Jiejie sacrificed a lot for that. In terms of his timers, he's going to be behind a little bit in terms of how fast he's able to clear these out. You see Tarzan still has his blue buff available for him. So overall, now the pressure is on Weibo to continue to make plays happen. It could happen here onto the mid lane as the teleport immediately comes in for Shanks very aggressively, but they'll find the stun onto the Lee Sin, and now Xiaohu is caught out just a bit. Conqueror proc from Tarzan with one more issuance of the Q, and Weibo's mid jungle will have to back away.
And look at Shanks' recall here, by the way. It's double Ruby Crystal. I am not dying to LeBlanc early. That is exactly what that kind of buy goes for.
Fate coded build, yeah.
Yeah, double Ruby and has unsealed spellbook. So now that he doesn't have TP, he can take Ghost, he can take Heal, he can take Barrier, he can take Exhaust. All of these make it even tougher for Xiaohu to find anything, and that I think means that we need to eventually start to move out into the side lanes. Which one is going to strike first? We typically like to see Twisted Fate move. We were talking about Paranoia and it being, the first one really dictates how the game's going to go. Same thing for Twisted Fate. Which lane are we going to go for? It very realistically should just be top lane, but in a 2v2 with no Glens from Elk and no Kaels quite yet, always a possibility.
Don't know if they're going to hit levels. I don't know if Shanks going to have the opportunity to get down there before those flashes are back up. It'll be a very close timer at the very least. So, just waiting and seeing at this point. As, again, we don't think that AL feel too bad about this game getting extended just due to how strong Tarzan and Flandre are going to be as this game goes on. Back to the mid lane we go.
Oh!
Shanks still has his flash. It's Jiejie here first. He ward hops over, forces the flash, and then will throw out the Sonic Wave. Really nicely played by the Weibo jungler, and he takes Shanks down for his first death of the game.
And we're talking about tight timers there. We just saw Shanks, he uses blue card on the minion wave, and that's an immediate go button from Weibo. They know, okay, hey, walk in, let's take this. As a trade, because Jiejie has to take his topside camps, it looks like Tarzan is going to start up this dragon, but because he decided to try to pull it out of the pit, walk in or walk towards the wall, that's going to give Weibo all the information they need. They know that the enemy jungler's on the bottom side, he's going to be taking this dragon, and at least getting some kind of trade and some value for his team.
This Lee Sin for Jiejie. Not the most powerful pick in terms of just like the jungle tier list right now, but it's his most played throughout his career for a reason. Remember,
I feel like it's most junglers most played, man.
He had a pop-off game on it just a couple of days ago against JD Gaming.
We're coming in again!
At this point, and we're seeing it come into play once more. Shanks does have his ulti, so might be able to channel it in time, but now Jiejie has the kick, and Hong is here as well. 3 members of Weibo here to punish the Twisted Fate. You can't roam if you get killed in your own lane. And that's exactly what Jiejie will say as he gets on the board for kill number 3.
Well, I was gonna say, as I mentioned, that Twisted Fate gets harder to kill with his items. Catalyst is done now, and I was talking about the boots, but if you get to do it before any of that happens, not only is this gold into Jiejie's pocket, but you're also setting up Xiaohu for a lot of success. He's going to hit these plates now as he comes back to lane. This is probably just going to be a Twisted Fate that might be looking to ult to get either back in or look to another lane, but already Weibo are opening up a really good gold lead here, and this is now, I think, 3 games in a row where we've seen Weibo do very good early, but I need to see them close out. I think AL getting the first dragon is the first step for them to stay confident in this game.
And Tarzan is still very powerful on this Nefiri as well.
Oh, for sure.
Continuing to power clear, look for opportunities to gank. A lot of easy to gank lanes, right? Just in the solos. Easy point and click CC, throw the call to pack on top of it, and dead laners more likely than not if you're in a 2v1 situation. It hasn't happened yet, and that means that Weibo are ahead. They're looking to build a little bit of momentum here in this season. Remember, they started off the year 0-3, Alk. That included losses to both AL and BLG. Well, guess what? They play AL. Guess who they play tomorrow? It is BLG. 2 really big prove-it series for them this weekend. And so far, they're looking pretty good as we get ultimates traded here in the bottom side of the map. Chunk Elk down to about 400.
Dragon doesn't spawn for another 3, and really it's about trying to get recalls in right now for our bottom lanes because those grubs are going to be up, and I think for both teams I would really like it. A grub team that is Twisted Fate and a Rek'Sai has a lot of value, as we said during the draft, and for Weibo, I think any kind of time that you can get for either Elk or Xiaohu to get gold with plates is time well spent for them. So right now they are clearing out vision on the bottom side. Seems like Tarzan just wants to make sure that Shanks doesn't die a 3rd time or potentially has to lose another summoner spell here, but that's going to mean grubs going over to Weibo, which is, again, like I was just mentioning, a good win, a good small win here in this game.
Especially against the Twisted Fate of Shanks, who's always going to be a threat in the side lanes. Obviously, the LeBlanc can match, and will be able to do so a little bit better.
Another ward.
He has the grubs. Jiejie just walking through mid lane. Knows that Shanks will not go for any sort of aggressive play, so just on the cross map looking to try to find some sort of answer, before instead heading back to his top side to clear out all 3 camps that are available.
Oh, and he gets Scuttle. This is really good. I wonder if Weibo decide to cross the river line, because Xiaohu has TP, Seems like Zika is going to press the ultimate just so he has a little bit of a buff, wants to stay, and looks like he's mostly pressuring for Jiejie to get this objective. I'm also quite surprised and really impressed that Zika has played 3 strong lanes against Flandre, and maybe they look for a dive.
Already, powered stun combined with a sonic wave, resonating strike. I mean, just everything in the book thrown at the Rek'Sai, and Flandre just gets melted.
That's a good lead. Tarzan, you are never ganking this guy, even with gold card. Xiaohu, like, blue card salute. We're going to clear this minion wave. Buy yourself a recall.
Oh, there's the call of the pack, and Xiaohu already used his distortion to go forward and try to clear the wave, so burns the flash at the very least. And now the bot lane for Weibo feeling a little bit frisky as well. Shield onto Hope is keeping him nice and topped off. We have the dragon spawning in about a minute, so both bot laners fighting for control before potentially another reset. Culling goes out onto Hong, combined with the Ultra Mega Fire Kick. Just to clear out this cannon wave, though.
I think you can see right now that even with this lead, Elk and Hung should be able to win the 2v2. As long as you have all of those stacks of your Q on Yunara, you win every single auto trade versus most AD carries when you're even. So if he ever decides to go Transcendent, suddenly that's a 2v2 that they're winning. You can see that Weibo right now getting vision control over the bottom side. If Jiejie shows, I think it is a bad timer. He has completely dropped these topside camps. We thought he was going to go for it. He went for Scuttle, top gank, went towards mid, and then kind of like feigned a recall. Here's the TP. Xiaohu's going to come back, and they're going to look for another play, but Shanks has flash, and he has his Rod of Ages already.
And clears the wave very nicely. So you can see, though, the importance that Weibo is putting on getting this second dragon, right? They're sacrificing the top camps for Jiejie. They're saving the ultimate for Hong to lose out on the trade. It looks like right now that's going to be rewarded with them getting full control over the bottom side of the map. The top laners going at it a little bit as a Destiny comes in for Shanks. They want to try to take down this Renekton, who pops the Dominus immediately, but with the Ignite, shouldn't be able to live for long. There comes that Void Rush, and Shanks gets on the board for anyone's legend.
But this is, I think, an expensive trade, as Weibo will get control of bottom side and stop any kind of dragon stacking early on. They'll get a dragon for themselves, and this will be gold going into Flandre, which he was an important part of this draft. We were talking about it there, but I think getting the dragon and being able to give some of this Weibo team some legs to stand on, and Shanks doesn't even get any of this turret plate gold, which does feel a little bit bad.
Teleport is going to come in for Zika.
Does he teleport out?
A gank onto Flandre in response here. Yeah, perfectly envisioned. And Jiejie just kicks him under the turret. Tunnel in from Flandre to try and get away, and he will be able to do so. And down the bottom side, it's Tarzan looking for an aggressive play onto Elk. The Wild Growth will knock the hot dog up and make sure that there's no more mustard down there in the bottom lane as AL back away.
You hold no mustard in my lanes. You cannot handle my strongest mustard, potion seller. Okay.
What was that?
You don't know? Oh, you don't know that reference?
You gotta get me up to speed.
Do you know the director? I think it's the director of Challengers. Is actually the guy. He has a. We'll show it after this. For all my potion seller knowers.
Stay tuned after LPL English.
Yeah.
Hot dog talk. As we get another
wow.
dive.
We are going hella far back for this play. We really just. Anytime there's Lee Sin, LPL observers want to show it off, and honestly, fine. You know, this is a long-standing goated champion of the league.
And it's done well for Jiejie so far. 2-0-2 has participated in all of the kills and has resulted in Weibo jumping out to a 2.2 thousand gold lead. Talked about how the top side of the map scales pretty well into the late game for AL. Does that remain the case for this bottom lane is the question. You think of Lucian as more of like a mid-game champion, right? But once he gets a couple of items, and especially with all the peel and support he's going to have, definitely still abilities for Hope to really make his impact known in this game.
Oh yeah, once he's on 2 items, I think this champion is really ridiculous. I was formerly a bit critical of the Essence Reaver build, just because I think having the outright damage of a Essence Reaver into Infinity Edge is always great, but having infinite uptime on your E is great, and just all your spells are really, really good, especially when we're talking about something like Ardent Blaze giving movement speed to your teammates. Yeah. When you're talking about the range, always, always, always impactful. And I actually wanted to look at Tarzan's build, because he got a small lead early, and we'll see what he does for the rest of this, but by going for... I think this is Black Cleaver second. The HP and the ability haste is really nice, but Hubris is really reliant on you snowballing, because the flat AD you get is good, but it's very low early on.
There's not a lot of snow on the ground right now, as Tarzan has not gotten rolling just yet. Kind of like those hot dogs in the conveyor belts at the convenience stores. They keep rolling, they keep spinning around.
I love those things, man. It's super fun. They can't stop you at 7-Eleven.
Sounds like a threat. We'll visit that later. As looks like mid lane once again getting targeted. Shanks underneath his own turret is forced to flash, knowing that that Dragon's Rage is always in Jiejie's back pocket. And now we see Weibo going for a play towards the bottom lane, posturing for Jiejie underneath the tier 1. Tarzan is here to respond. Culling comes out. Hong chunked down to half HP. We have this dragon spawning in about a minute and 40 seconds, but there's not much right now otherwise at this point for the side of Weibo to go for.
That was a really great vision toggle from the observers, just showing how dark it is and how worried they are. Even with the culling being traded, you can see it every time we pan bot lane. If Elk has all stacks of his Q, that's a trade you're never winning as the Lucian Melio, even with some of the burst damage you have. So consistently great vision control on the bottom side. They got the bottom side scuttle as well to set themselves up for this. And I think the same grace that we afforded Jiejie on his Nocturne, we should afford for Shanks, as we really haven't seen his ultimate be used. At least I haven't noticed it. If I missed it, then, you know, stupid noobcaster, stop talking. He
got a kill onto Zika, but that's...
Oh, that's right.
It came at the cost of the dragon, so it wasn't even like a net positive
All right,
play.
Well, then, like I said, stupid noobcaster, stop talking. We're going to Herald.
Weibo's going to Herald. I don't know if AL feel the same way, as Shanks is going to match the bot lane push for Xiaohu. Again, those grubs become more important when you're playing against this team with heavy side lane presence. It means that Weibo can just do this for free.
And the Herald can be used for this dragon coming up, which we keep talking about it. Looking at this next fight, everybody's going to have their summoner spells up. Importantly to note is that Shanks did swap out his missing flash for an exhaust, which I think is very, very good when we're talking about how much pressure has been applied to this mid lane matchup. And versus Lee Sin, versus LeBlanc, I think these are all very meaningful summoner spells to have. Holy hell, look at the tunnels here.
Oh man. Call this guy a kindergartner in a sandbox, the way those tunnels are building up here in the top side of the map. Flandre, a lot of control, a lot of mobility up there with the burrows. We now have Rift Herald pop in the mid lane of Weibo trying to control around this dragon. Teleport coming in as well from Xiaohu. Should be the tier 1 going down. And we don't really have a way to answer this at this point. Hope is not at his second item yet, and once that happens, maybe you can fight, but right now, not a good position for AL, so they again look for the top side play. Void Rush onto Zika, who pops the Dominus. The exhaust out of the spellbook from Shanks is going to be very valuable here as well. Should be a second kill, unless Zika's able to outplay this one. He flashes forward, forces Flandre to jump away with the burrow. Still having that rage continue to build. Does he get another empowered Q? No. Nice knock-up from Flandre to make sure that Zika does not get the outplay.
Oh, but look at the gold right now. They need to take this top tier 1. And how much more can they get afterwards? Because Dragon just went over to Weibo, and they sent the Herald to the bottom side of the map to get another turret. So Weibo are going to trade 2 turrets for 1 and get a lot of gold off of the back of this. So I need to see Flandre on this Rek'Sai have the impact that we wanted to see from the draft. He's now gotten 2 separate ganks from Shanks to try to kill Zika, and now has a 1,000 gold lead as this Rek'Sai. I think he's pretty much untouchable, not just in the side lanes, but if we get to team fights. This got very, very dicey. This double slice and dice from Zika, the armor penetration that he has access to, and just the heals from this. Eclipse Shield, empowered Cole the Meek there from Zika keeps him alive alongside the Dominus. Look at this. 1 second off. If he had just flash Qs there, maybe he lives.
I think we're going to see a Bramble Vest pretty soon for Flandre, because that's going to be a problem.
I don't think so. Look at his items. He doesn't need it.
Zika is pretty strong, man. I mean, it is true that this Renekton will fall off, and I think the top side of AL scales a little bit better, while the bot side of Weibo scales a little bit better for them. But Zika going to be a problem for the next few minutes or so still, even though he's the one who's continuously been targeted by ganks from Shanks. 1,500 gold lead still in favor of Weibo. They get another turret, this time on the top side, but AL now are here to respond down bottom with Flandre pushing here as well.
Yeah, it's a 40 CS lead starting to open up for the 80 carry of Weibo Gaming, and they just got the top turret as well for him. So the plates that Hope we're going to get is mitigated by the fact that we saw Weibo move topside. And he's just going to shift immediately back into mid lane. So as much as the lane assignments have changed, everything's kind of staying the same. If we're going to go down this kind of rabbit hole of top lane builds for these two guys, I mean, just look at Flandre right now. Spear of Shojin plus Titanic Hydra and is going to get plated Steel Caps next. This champion is really disgusting to play against in 1v1s. Yeah. And if he gets Black Cleaver second, it just gets even better. Remember, HP shielding. And you're talking about Renekton. I think Renekton with the new itemization this year is really, really scary. Like, Dominus at rank 3 gives you 800 HP, and he already has an Eclipse. He's getting a Sterix second and can go into Spear of Shojin or Black Cleaver. So this guy is going to have a lot of tank stats and also the ability to one-shot a backliner.
Both top laners haven't had a ton of impact here in this series, but certainly an opportunity to make their impact known in game number 3 as the Destiny has been popped. Hong has to call the pack go onto him, but it's going to be a kick away by Jiejie, still going to result in the Lulu going down, and in comes Flandre, looking for the Unburrow onto Elk. He used the Blast Cone to get away, and nice job by Weibo to try to kite this fight out. Zika not able to pop the Dominus, as Tarzan's able to issue the final blow. Void Rush forward. It's going to be Flandre looking to continue the engage, but there's still a tower underneath here, but Weibo going to look to try to play around it. There's the chains landing here onto the Rex side, but Flandre still looking to hunt, going to end up backing away as AL get on the board with 2 kills.
And just like game number 2, we were saying, where do AL find picks when some of the carries are less touchable? Go for the support, right? If this is a Lulu, Tarzan can just walk on top of her and force her to use Polymorph or Wild Growth to save herself. And right there we got to see they go right onto this 2v2 of Hong and Elk, and they go for the Lulu, and that cuts out a lot of the damage. That was also Elk's Flash. So this next Dragon, while it would be Soul Point here for Weibo if they can grab it, I think more importantly, AL are trying to give themselves breathing room here in this game. And that was a lot of the gold lead now gone. It's just 1,000 here for Weibo.
Seems like our JD bot doesn't really love the Weibo composition, though. I wonder how much of a factor that's going to play later on into this one.
It's probably
sorry,
just
I should say the AL. I should say the AL comp. I mean, and it's because probably they probably look at it and say not a ton of late game damage. I think there can be if AL and Hope specifically is able to play these fights out well. Once he gets the IE, I mean, you basically are playing Earth at that point with just like 60% crit. It's not a bad time to be a Lucian if he's able to play these fights well.
Is he going Shield Bow? I mean, you're talking about Hope and getting him an Infinity Edge. That's very much the next item. But Elk, instead of trying to match that 3 item, is instead opting for the Shield Bow to just try to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about how late game every fight is going to be can Rek'Sai and can the Nefiri get onto the back line, and if you have a Shield Bow there alongside the Lulu, someone's going to need to get Serpent's Fang sooner or later. It is that Bramble Vest you were asking for from Rek'Sai, and now we're getting a 5-on-5 right before this 4th Dragon.
But Weibo have control of the river at this point, with mid-waves about to crash once more in just a few seconds. We are near dead even in gold, but Weibo trying to pick up Infernal Soul Point. They can win the fight right here. Hope playing aggressive with Cozy Campfire on top of him. Tarzan waiting in the rings. Unburrow coming forward with Flandre. They found Xiaohu, but there's no issuance of the Nefiriel to continue the play. That is now just going to be LeBlanc taking a base. She'll be able to TP back, maybe to the bottom side, to look for some sort of flank as AL gain control and will look to start hitting onto this Dragon, or maybe just onto Jiejie. Flandre dashes forward. They won't be able to find the knock-up. Teleport comes back in for Xiaohu, and the battle lines redraw.
Yeah, I was going to say the side lanes right now are really good for AL. Weibo instead are not going to fight this. I guess they are. Zika's going to have a flank, but it's on Vision. And Xiaohu's getting spotted thanks to this Tremor Sense from Flandre.
Dragon's at 3,000 HP. Jiejie's going to have to get in there if they want to avoid the Soul Point from getting over, but they're just going to give it and maybe look for the fight afterwards. Zika looking for the flank. Sonic Wave does not connect, and Xiaohu still waiting in the wings as well. Flandre's found out the Crocodile, and now AL can maybe play on the offensive a little bit. Weibo going to back away, and anyone's legend will take their victory by denying that Soul Point.
And that was really costly there for Weibo. Good purse coming in from Xiaohu, gets a gold card in response, but that was a bot lane tier 1 going over to AL. And now, honestly, Grapes, I think Dragon's Soul is not really going to be the main concern this game. I think AL have gone over the hump of a weaker early to get into a very, very strong mid to late here. This is now a 3rd item here for Shanks. Rapid Fire Cannon, Lichbane, fully stacked Rod of Ages. This champion's not only unkillable for Xiaohu in the side, but now is really, really packing a punch when we're talking about extended gold card trades.
And just buying time now for Hope pick up that third item. The Infinity Edge almost there. Getting Flandre maybe to that Thornmail. That buying time by taking that dragon was crucial for AL. It'll get them towards the portion of the game where they feel like their top side likely is the strongest. There's a third item completed as well for Tarzan. It is that Serpent's Fang. But on the other side of things, it's Elk actually going Kraken Slayer for a little bit of extra burst.
Oh. Wait, no, so he had Kraken Slayer, he actually went for Hexopic.
Oh, Hexopics. Oh.
Ah, okay. I thought it was going to be Shield Bow, but, you know, wants the range. Makes sense. I do think you're a little bit lacking when it comes to attack speed, but I guess you have an Ardent Sensor support, so kind of evens out in that manner. You are going to have a... I think I'm still worried about how we are going to deal with Rek'Sai this game, because she is way too tanky, and especially with Merc Treads versus Yunara, I don't think we've answered a lot of the concerns here.
Gold card lands. We're seeing the way this game's going to continue to play is a 4v4 with the top laners hanging out in a side lane. Twisted Fate potentially getting an opportunity to get out onto the map as well. But you can see the way these compositions are structured with the Nefiri, with a Lee Sin, with a Lucian. These two teams don't want the full-on 5v5. They want picks, they want poke, and they want to be really scrappy in these extended engages.
Another thing to, I'll hold this as we start to siege.
There's a calling. Oh, a two-man on Burrow. Coming forward from Flandre. It forces the wild growth out onto Jiejie and enough for the tier 1 turret to fall. Zika waiting on the flank, but Weibo in no position to fight at this point. And AL are clawing and scratching their way back into this one after being down 3,000 gold at the start of this.
Thank you, Flandre. You not only just got a two-man Unburrow, which looked really cool, you also got Elk's Flash during that fight. So this next dragon, that is not something that Weibo will be able to play around. 3-item Yunara will not matter. And I think, again, that side lane prowess that we're seeing from AL, they're really trying to pick apart at Weibo, who you had rightly mentioned is more of a pick composition. They want to try to find one member out of position first, then try to look for a play afterwards. And they haven't been able to generate any kind of pressure after the 15-minute mark. They killed Shanks twice in a row, and he has come back to an 1,800 gold lead thanks to TF passive and a lot of side lane gold collection.
Tension at this point continuing to brew. We haven't really seen a full 5v5 team fight between Weibo and AL here in this decisive game. Gonna come sooner rather than later though at this point as a third item, that Infinity Edge, is picked up for Hope, but he's still significantly behind Elk. A whole BF sword on top of the 3 items already completed for the Yunara. Either of these ADCs has a good fight, that will be the difference maker. And again, between two bot laners that really will need a win at this point to reclaim a little bit of confidence after what was rather shaky starts to split 2.
Well, in Hope's favor, he has a really fed Rek'Sai. I don't have to worry about a Rek'Sai jumping on me if I'm Hope here. And like you mentioned, Infinity Edge is a very big spike for this. So, AL are looking good. They'll take the gold lead for the first time this game. I feel bad for Weibo because they don't really have ways of like generating side lane pressure right now. They've dropped a lot of waves, as we have seen, and I think a lot of how Weibo tend to play their games is they use Zika to either kind of pick up a wave on side and join later, or he has to be first to a play and then he teleports out. And in this game, he just has not had the same effect. Like, he was winning early versus Flandre, but has very quickly fallen to the wayside in terms of efficacy on this Renekton. You can see how just being this short-ranged doesn't really buy him any favors.
Lots going to have to come down to Jiejie. He's really the primary source of engage, and he's on the Lee Sin. Requires a lot of skill to be able to get those engages off successfully, and so Weibo may be thinking, we're not going to be able to force a fight. Maybe just go for the Baron and make AL come to us. Destiny has been popped to try to negate that, but Shanks not going to want to go into a 1v4. All in the meanwhile, Flandre's here on the bot side, taking down this dragon for themselves, so Weibo feel like they have no other choice but to start up the big purple worm.
I don't like this. Rek'Sai can TP anywhere that she wants right now, and Renekton is showing on mid-wave. We are going to just take the dragon, put ourselves on soul point, and Xiaohu again, half
they're really
HP.
Going. They're maybe going for the finish. It's at half HP. No.
Teleport. Okay, no dragon.
And that's enough for it to reset. Crucially, as you mentioned, that Infernal Dragon was not finished off by the Rek'Sai. And so Weibo will back off with a small win in their books, but they feel the clock ticking at this point in the game. There's the Sonic Boom, or Sonic Wave, I should say, on it to the blue buff, and thought that it could have been a little bit more, as now Hope is going to make his way to the bot side, and now Weibo can just start this Baron back up again.
We're just going to go for it. Yeah, Flandre, that health bar is going to start to tick away with the shield moving off soon. Zika staying on sides.
They're off it.
We need to watch what Weibo solo lanes do. Can they find any pressure? Can they find a pick or force someone out? Rapid fire cannon, they're pushing Xiaohu out. And again, he's half HP with no teleport to answer.
Dragon not taken. This will be a flip around Baron Nashor. Xiaohu already chunked out a half HP, only level 14, as Elk is now trapped in the pit itself. A level 17 is coming straight for him, and they land a 3-man knockup. The Baron is still alive, and it will be taken away by Tarzan and anyone's legends. They go for the kill on its Lucian. He's taken down. Elk still alive, though. Finds himself a double kill, and it's a 2v3 in favor of Weibo. And here comes Xiaohu. Cozy Campfire has been proc, as Shanks is having a great time here now in this team fight. Pops Destiny could look to port back in onto Elk, but he knows there's a lot of damage back on the other side. Red card to slow, wild cards to nearly finish the job, but it's not enough. Finally, it will be the Unara dropping, and Jiejie stuck in a 1v2, and Shanks outplays the entirety of Weibo Gaming as they get the Baron and the Ace.
Did you see him in the player cam there? He just goes, thank you. He's dapping up his teammates because he knows he smurfed that entire team fight. Great patience and great coordination coming in from AL, and their most consistent player really coming up clutch when they need him most around the Baron.
Like a good fight for Weibo to take, but Tarzan had other ideas. He jumps in, steals the Baron, and Shanks did the rest. We'll get a replay in just a little bit, but nicely played by this Twisted Fate.
I was super worried, I won't lie, because I'm seeing Flandre get right in there, dies immediately, but all of this damage is just setting up Hope, putting in shot after shot into Zika, who dies immediately once he gets into this front line. And then you're just playing a front-to-back with, I think, an amazing kind of amount of damage from Tarzan, even if he does get bursted out. The bleed from the Darkened Daggers, that's one kill onto Hong's Lulu. And then look at this, flash red card. And I think importantly from Kael here, throws the Q, and then the cleanse from Shanks to just make sure that the CC isn't there. There's no cripple either from Lee Sin. Fantastic fight from AL. What can they do with this Baron? They did end up taking the Dragon while we were in the replay here, but still no soul to play for at least 4 minutes.
But it feels like the timer is on AL's side at this point, Elk. Weibo got a really great start to this early game. Jiejie got off to the races, but now it is only Elk here to try to get them back into this game. Deep teleport coming in, as it looks like Zika and Weibo know that this could be a last resort play to save this third game for them. It forces AL back. The Baron timer continues to tick. Xiaohu very far behind at this point. He's 3 levels down to the might of Shanks and 4 to Flandre on the Rex side.
He has just been grouping constantly, and one of these levels is thanks to Rod of Ages, so can kind of give him some credit there, but also 5,000 gold lead after that last play.
He's
Yikes.
useless. He's
not even finished with his 3rd item yet, and already Shanks is moving on to number 5 here, which might even just be a Jiejie with that fully stacked Darksteel he has. Another wave being taken. You see that massive wave that's stacked right now on top side? That I think is going to be very important for AL to play with after they come back out of the base. There's that Jiejie, so really big damage. And
Why not?
Quite honestly, I still need to see what this Lee Sin is going to do, because great early game, very little ability to affect very much in this game past that.
Yeah. At this point, you're just a peel bot for Elk. Kick away Flandre, kick away Tarzan, anybody that gets close to my AD carry. I am sending him out and just trying to stay alive as long as possible at this point. So much of this game for Weibo now revolves around their superstar AD carry on his new team. Gets a matchup against his old team tomorrow, but definitely wants to be in winning a mindset going into that series against Billy. Can it happen here on the Unara? 4 items now with that Infinity Edge, and Jiejie will look for a play. Doesn't find anything as a gold card, and the Culling are going to chunk him down incredibly low. And now a teleport is coming in. It's Flandre on a long flank. Gold card lands on Elk. He's going to get taken down instantly. Hope with a double shot finishes off his opposite AD carry. And Jiejie will have the Guardian Angel procced as well. Zika goes forward with the Dominus, but he will not be able to save the game. A double kill in for Hope. And anyone's legends withstand the storm, but they'll push down mid and pick up their first Game 3 of the regular season.
Well, guess what? As we have said time and time again in a famous quote, Hope is the true killer here. Weibo fans got excited after a single game, and AL, they kept it calm, cool, and collected. The early game was bad, but didn't matter. They took one good fight around a Baron, and they had a really good setup. Great job from AL to really play to their sides, and have confidence in what was a bit of a trickier draft to play. They're going to take some final kills here, and like you said, move to 4-3 in the season.
Anyone's Legend jump back up to the top half of Group Ascend. It was not an easy win there in Game 3. They withstood a lot of pressure, but the scaling took over, and you got to give credit to Shanks there in the mid lane on the Twisted Fate. A crucial fight around the Baron after Weibo seemingly felt desperate. They knew their composition got outscaled, Dog.
I should have just kept my AO prediction, man. I should have stuck. I knew it! I knew it. Every time I want to support the boys, they let me down.
Fun day.
Yeah, agreed. Had some fun games, at least.
As anyone's Legend, going to feel very happy picking up this win. It has not been smooth sailing like it has been for really the last year or so for this team. But they pick up a good win over NIP yesterday. They now take it down Weibo. And looking forward the rest of the way, they have still half of their games left to go. They get to basically play everybody one more time the rest of the way, except for AL or Weibo, who they just beat. They get 2 matchups against IG, one of them going to be this Tuesday. And overall for them, a lot to look forward to, and a lot looking up on the bright side. As for Weibo, just not able to get any momentum going. They have been like win-loss over these last few weeks.
Actually, you know what's really funny? AL won't get into... I don't think AL will actually get into top 4 because their game differential, because they didn't win in 2-0, it's going to be +1, and NIP have +2 right now. So...
Wait, but isn't... If you have the standings, Shivam, we could pull it up just to see where exactly we are.
Usually standings, at least from what we have known from tiebreakers, is game differential, then head-to-head. That is how it has been for the last year. Yeah, so... Wow, Jiejie get moved down?
Yeah, because they have a bad game score. They've been getting 2-0'd a lot.
No, they should be 9-7, though. They're 9-7 in games. So they should...
Okay, well, never mind then.
Yeah, 7-9 is not right. I was going to say 7-9, but for 4-3 is not correct because they should have at least 8 wins. I was looking at these
standings and kind of basing my claims off of that. I apologize. So AL still in 5th, but still a lot of League of Legends left to be played, as we said.
Correct.
And, right now things are looking good for them. They just took down 2 teams. One of them a top 3 team right now. The other one top 3 a split ago.
Shivam, take us out of here. Take us out of here. This is not looking good. 7-9 with 4 wins. You should have at least 8.
Actually, yeah, that is true. I should try to count next time. That's good.
We'll wait. We'll just wait for the graphic to be updated. That's okay. That's the wonderful thing, is that we can just fix all of this later. We can show this later. We still have to do player of the game. We have to do all the post-game screens. So let's kind of hop back into this, because the LPL gold graph, it's not going to be as fun as some other games, because there wasn't like any violent like throws in terms of gold. Yeah, it just went up and then went straight back down, just like the Weibo roller coaster. It starts high, and then immediate disappointment right afterwards.
Unlucky for them, as it felt like things were looking good in the early game. They were up 2,500, 3,000 gold at about the 15-minute mark. They needed to snowball further with their top side, though. Jiejie got off to a good start, but Xiaohu and Zika, the 2 solo laners that actually had decent times earlier on in this series, weren't able to do anything in this decisive Game 3.
I'm worried because now we've seen 2 Game 3 Lee Sins from Jiejie, and the first one was really, really impressive, but the rest of his team kind of fell apart. And this time, while he had some more creative paths, I think was extremely limited in what he was able to do, thanks to different kind of pieces. I think in the same reasons why we would have given Weibo a lot of praise for their draft in game number 2, Game 3 here, we see Tarzan, the untargetability of a champion like Nefiri, the gold card instant click always going to be there, and Melio as well. We had worries coming into this draft, and I think a lot of them came to light here. Like, Zika didn't really get to do very much on this Renekton once we got out of the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game. Lee Sin wasn't able to generate very much after the first 2 deaths onto Shanks, and Shanks, I think, made really good use of killing off Renekton. Even I had questions. I was like, I don't know if that's really the lane that we wanted to see, but Shanks then repaid his team by being this unkillable raid boss once we got into fights.
You wonder how much could have changed if this play specifically went just a little bit differently. Oh, sorry, it's not this one. It's the other one that ends up coming through when Shanks exhausts Zika. But that was almost an outplay by the Renekton, and if he gets ahead, Snowball can go a little bit further on Weibo's side, but not enough here, and we just gotta watch this team fight again because it was magical stuff.
Dude, Shanks is so good. Shanks is like, honestly, again, Tarzan is really, really good. I want to take nothing away from him. I think I have him as third best jungler in the league because of just some of the things. I'm honestly willing to move him up to second because Shun has almost never been a jungle purist. If you're a jungler and you're looking at like just pure pathing, probably not the smartest player, but still really, really good.
Makes stuff happen.
Exactly. He just makes things happen, and he's really good for the team that he is on. This is the play that I was talking about where Shanks, after he won, he knew.
Dap. Oh, man.
Yep. I don't know who is sitting to his right at that. I think if the stages are... I think it's Tarzan. He smurfed this entire game on Twisted Fate. And
then finds his gold card here, too, which ends up winning them the game.
Yeah. Last year, it was kind of like, okay, Shanks is a good mid laner, but can he be a great mid laner? And while I think I haven't seen Shanks really kind of rise to that occasion and be a Knight level player here domestically, I think his consistency and just the bar at which that he plays is good enough to kind of bring his team to multiple wins now against a lot of different teams.
It's cool to see the rise of this core from anyone's legend back when they weren't really a contender, right? They had, was it ZDZ and Xiaohu in 2024? They end up going, 5th, 6th or so, but they stay true to their core. They bring in Flandre and Tarzan as these final pieces, but it's not necessarily those guys that have been carrying them. It has been certain pieces rising in certain occasions. Kael has looked like the best support in the league for the last year or so. You've had Shanks have these really brilliant performances, specifically in this season. So it's everyone coming together to form a really nice combination for AL when things are right. Now, certainly that has not always been the case here in Split 2, but this is a good start for Weibo, against Weibo, I should say. They took down NIP the other day. AL, we know the highs that this team can reach. If they can continue to build that momentum towards the end of the regular season, they will absolutely be another threat to go to the International come MSI.
Okay. Who do we think is getting player of the game? We're probably not going to stay on long. Well, we'll see, I guess. Player of the game, more likely going to be Shanks.
It's gotta be Shanks, yeah.
And then
I feel like sometimes we could wait it out, wait for the interview, but I think we know what's going to happen here. So
yeah, I kind of interested who's going to be player of the series, because across 3 games, I do think that Shanks played a really solid game. The Annie game is tough, it's very tough, so maybe there's some angles there. It's probably going to be Tarzan, if we're being honest, across those 3. But we're getting a Kael interview, so we can just cut to our standings, which I'm going to trust.
Fingers crossed.
My math is right. There we go.
Okay.
Yep.
So JDG jump up to 3rd because it looks like the wins and losses in that column were swapped. As AL are still 4 and 3, so there's really a pack in the middle right now for that top 4 spot. Remember, 4th place and above gets you an automatic slot into the playoff bracket. Everyone else will have to go into Knight's Rivals. And so if you're AL, you're feeling good about the momentum you're building, and Weibo really wish they could have had this one, especially with a slumping IG.
We start going to look like Weibo's next 4 matches are going to be BLG, Top Esports, IG, Top Esports again. You're playing the top 2 3 times in the next couple of weeks, in the next week or so. So that is really, really dangerous. And Weibo play tomorrow versus BLG. So honestly, this could actually just turn into a snowball where Weibo might actually end up losing the next 3 matches. And then suddenly you are 2 and 8 and you're never getting in the top 4, which for those who are maybe a little bit confused, or you don't know exactly what's going on, or maybe what the incentives are, top 4, you immediately go into playoffs. You do not have to play an extra best of 5 to get in. Bottom 4 of Group Ascend are going to have to play a single best of 5 versus the top 4 of Group Nirvana, which at the bottom, Weibo playing potentially up against some, if they get 7th, because we're assuming WE are going to be 0 and 14.
Is it a single best of 5, or is it bracket like it was last split?
It is going to be a single best of 5, because we don't have to play the Omega bracket that was Knight's Road. So we're going to go back to our old format, single best of 5 to get into play-ins. I think Weibo are probably still going to be positioned as favorites, but if it's LNG going into that 2nd seed, maybe there's some legs to stand on. If it is this reinvigorated Thunder Talk, who knows? Yeah.
That's the thing. Nirvana gotten some upgrades in certain areas. Obviously, OMG have not looked as good as they were the one that kind of went on that surprise run, but Thunder Talk bringing in some new players. You have LGD with Bertle suddenly looking a little bit more full, I suppose. And so certainly opportunities for these Nirvana teams to punch up, because we also know what LNG and EDG are going to have in store once we get towards those back half of competition. So never a comfortable spot to be in if you are an Ascend team, to play a single best of 5, determine your opportunity to both go into playoffs and also be in Group Ascend again for split number 3.
Yep. Real quick, Shivam, how is the interview looking? I'm gonna I'll just put this out there. I was gonna say I don't think your Chinese is incredible, so I don't know if you'd be able to like interpret and get us to see if maybe they're getting close to their interview, but I think that's it. Grapes, is there anything else that we want to do before we send off the show and let everybody see in a much quieter setting who the player of the game, player of the series is going to be?
I was just going to say, let's bring up our schedule for our last day of games tomorrow in week 4 of the season. Ultra Prime finally get another opportunity to get back into the win column. They'll be playing up against an LGD team that has looked better as of late. And as you mentioned, BLG against Weibo coming up after this. It looks like we do have our player of the game ready soon, so we want to stick around for it. Yeah. I will, in the meantime, give a big shout out to our Elite Coffee supporters, because they've done a lot to help out our channel throughout the last year and a half that we've been running this thing. So a big shout out to Mung and, oh God, I'm messed up. Aaron Soup as well.
He's the GOAT. Come on, man.
He's been here for ages. I got to remember that one next time. That's my bad. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the casting crew, who strive to give you an English LPL product every single time this stream goes live.
Yep.
Alk, has been a great time. We got more League of Legends here ready tomorrow. Quick reminder for everybody as well. We'll be playing on Tuesday next week, so only one day of a break. So the more LPL happens as the season continues to ramp up. There is Shanks, winning player of the game as expected, and I think that is our cue to exit out of this one for now. On behalf of everybody here on LPL English, our producer Shivam, Alec Battery, all the casters that came before us, and our entire production team, mine has been Grapes. Thank you so much for sticking around with us here on LPL English, and we'll see you tomorrow for the final day of Week 4.